Thank you, Mark, for joining me back here at the studio. I cannot wait to discuss our next subject. And I think it's a very, very powerful, topic that we should cover and discuss with our audience. Thank you again for joining me today. And I can't wait to share our knowledge and wisdom with our audience. Let's dive in.
Olga, it's always a pleasure, and let's just kind of dive into one of the current scenarios that you've reached out on recently, and I'm sure it's something that your audience would probably benefit from, so let's just kind of get right into it.
Very good. Well, real estate, as we all know, and it's not a $1 Million Listing New York show for sure, and if anyone would be the voice of bringing out the reality, the real reality of real estate, it will probably be Olga, okay? So I have a situation right now. As we speak, the closing was scheduled. Everything was on board. We were ready to go. Everybody was pretty much driving to the closing. And boom, out of nowhere, we discovered that apparently my client paid off his mortgage underneath most of us knowing. And the official recording of the document that needed to state the amount, the property address, and the actual public records data did not have the official payoff recorded on their end. So that created a complete chaos right before the closing, and it really threw up the whole entire title situation to be in a position where we had to stop everything and really call the banks and get it all resolved. And Mark, I just want to pick your brain and see, what do you guys usually do in cases like that? Like for us as brokers, it's discouraging because you're like, Olga, you're not coming to closing right now. It's not happening. But let's touch upon to what you're going through in that moment.
Sure. So let's talk about the do's and don'ts of what to do when you're in a transaction. And in your particular case, if you're the seller of a property, what you should do and what you should not do. So what you just mentioned is, is someone paying off their mortgage in advance of a closing.
Even if you told them not to.
Even if you told them not to. Now, I can definitely understand why a person would want to do that. It's a sense of pride, having the notion of, I paid off my mortgage, I paid off my bills, I don't have to do that. But guys, do not do anything without talking to your attorney first. Why? Because what you just mentioned is going to throw the whole deal off track. Even though you may, your client may pay off the mortgage, on his statement from his lender, it says zero balance. He shows that the check was cashed. Everything is good. The title company that's representing the purchaser in that transaction, the only way they will be affirmatively insured that there are no issues is if there's a satisfaction that's filed of record. Now, the satisfaction needs to be filed is a document that needs to be filed with the county clerk's office, and that takes time. So to do. And this is exactly what happened to you. You guys scheduled the closing. You were in that interim. Someone paid off the loan. And before the satisfaction can actually hit the county clerk's office, we're scheduling closings. And then people are like, well, this still needs to be taken care of. I mean, there are still mechanisms and ways of being able to address that issue also. So if you ever get into that type of a situation, call me. I can, obviously give you some suggestions on how to go around it. But for your clients, you're absolutely right. If you are in a transaction, if you're a seller, do not do anything without speaking to your attorney. Obviously, continue to make your normal timely payments, continue to making your monthly mortgage payments, continue to making your tax payments, continue obviously paying for all your utilities as you do on a normal, regular basis. Oftentimes clients tell me, well, look, why should I, pay for taxes for the next quarter if I'm going to be selling my house this month? Don't worry. Pay your taxes. We're going to adjust for those at closings. This happens day in and day out. This is a normal procedure. So make your normal timely payments, but don't do anything out of the ordinary, such as paying off your mortgage prior to the closing being scheduled. And I think we can talk about the reverse of that as well. When you have a buyer who's in contract right now, is looking to get a loan, and all of a sudden, they decide to, they're
buy a car.
Guys, do not do anything that's going to financially hurt or risk your loan application. And guess what? Buying a car will impact your debt-to-income ratio. It may impact your ability to buy a loan. To buy that house and get a loan. And it might actually put you in default of your contractual obligations. So that's why, don't do anything that's going to have
financial diet.
Yes, a
You're
big financial
staying
diet.
home, you're not spending money, you're eating and cooking at home, you don't do anything.
Don't scare your clients. They can still go
I'm
out.
just kidding.
You know.
Well, what about credit cards? Can I open up a new credit card when I'm buying a house?
So, talking to any mortgage broker, they'll tell you it's not advisable to get any new lines of credit, new credit. The thing with credit cards, for the most part, the credit that you're getting is generally a small amount, but you should not do anything. Like you said, you were like half joking about having a financial diet, but I think it's very serious, and clients should not entertain or engage in any new credit-related items because first of all, every time there's a credit pull, that affects credit, right? And then your debt-to-income ratio obviously also gets affected. So don't do anything, but give us a call. We can guide you, with the appropriate mortgage brokers, so they can get you pre-approved at the right time, so we can know exactly what it is that you're qualifying for. Another super, super key moment is I wanted to kind of just brush off this. And, when a person thinks about, oh, look, if I don't get a mortgage, I get my down payment deposit back, right? So it's a loaded question, yes and no, because actually as the contracts read, they're not quote unquote contingent on you getting a mortgage. And what I mean by that, it's not contingent on you getting a check from the bank. Before you get a check from the bank, a lot of things need to happen. The contracts are actually contingent on you getting what's known as a commitment letter from a lender, which is a different thing than an actual check. And the reason why it's different is because every commitment letter has certain conditions. And some of these conditions have to do with your financial standing.
Obligations.
And your financial obligations. So that's why it's very important to work with mortgage lenders who kind of, who know it, who've done this day in and day out, who know what we as attorneys kind of expect. And, we have a relationship with many credible, competent individuals who we can direct in order to help our clients, achieve the goal that's, that they have to purchase a property. And the other thing is, there are many programs that people are not even aware about. There's no income verification loans. There's stated income loans. There's, obviously, you have non-QM, non-qualified mortgage. There's a lot of different programs that people may not even know that they'd be qualified for. There's FHA financing. There's first-time homeowner, Sony May types of loans and transactions that, your clients should be aware of. So if someone is actively and seriously looking to buy, we can seriously help them. So
Thank you, Mark. Thank you. So let's go back. So paying off the mortgage, consult with your attorney.
Yes. Don't do it.
Buying a car or leasing a car, before you do anything significant, consult with your attorney if that's the right time. Credit cards, opening up or closing credit cards.
Right.
Opening or closing credit cards. Consult with your attorney or your mortgage broker. And the fourth part that you and I didn't cover yet, can I buy a furniture?
It really kind of gets to the same point. How are you buying furniture? If you're buying it, by taking, if you go into one of these furniture stores and taking a line of credit, again, it's the same thing as any credit card. So it really depends on how you're buying, the furniture. I mean, I don't want to scare people and saying like, don't do anything, but it really don't get any credit-related items to affect your application and candidacy, ultimately.
So in other words, let's party after you close.
Exactly. Let's party after you close. Yes.
Well, the only reason why I brought up the furniture, I remember very clearly many years ago, I got a phone call from one of my clients that I was representing the husband. They were newly, married couple that from previous divorce cases. And she had a house on Long Island and he had a house in Forest Hills. And so she had to sell her house on Long Island, but she was already in the contract. And one day she's calling me and she says, Olga, I need you to come to my house. I said, what's going on? What's the problem? I thought you already done and closed. And she goes, no. My crazy buyers decided to buy furniture before they closed on their house. And not only they decided to buy like a small, ticket item, they really went crazy and bought like $30,000 worth of furniture. And so they lost their ability to qualify for a loan. And this is why we're even bringing those examples here right now, not for the form of a joke, but this is like sometimes is like the scenarios where we just lose our mind. And in the end of the day, we just have to make it fun, right? Like it's just crazy how real estate could maneuver itself on day-to-day operations. Again, Not your average $1 million listing New York show.
It's definitely not as glamorous as it sometimes seems, but you know, we always try to have fun with what it is that we do. But yes, not every transaction is going to have that. It's so unfortunate for that particular client because I mean they have a lot of furniture, but not a house to put all that furniture in. So I mean, but yes, don't do anything that's going to affect your financial candidacy.
Beautiful. Well, Mark, thank you again for your wisdom and for all the knowledge we are able to share with our audience. It's been a pleasure. And I can't wait for our next episode coming soon.
Looking forward to it as always, Olga.
Thank you.